We continue now at the top of Daf Lamed Amud Aleph in Meseches Sotah. This is Sotah Daf 39a. On the previous summit, the Gemara asked that when it comes to Birchas Kohanim, what about the people that are at the sides of the Kohanim? Are they included in the bracha? And the Gemara is bringing a proof from a Mishnah. It's talking about the purification of vessels using the mechatos. It says, V'hiza la'acharav, v'hiza lefanav. Again, let's say a person is intending on sprinkling in front of him and he sprinkles behind him. Or let's say he's intending on sprinkling behind him and he sprinkles in front of him. And Rashi explains, V'hiza la'acharav, v'yav sham hayu kelim hatzrichan hazah. In the other direction that he was not intending, so there are also kelim over there that require the hazah, that require the sprinkling. And so the Mishnah says, Hazah also pasula. The Mishnah says that this hazah is disqualified, it's not going to be effective. Rashi explains, Hazah also pasula de ba'inon kavana l'tahara, because you need to have intention in order to purify. Kedichsiv, as it's written in the pasuk, V'hiza hator al atame sheyehi miskavein lo. It says that the tahor sprinkles on the tame, and the idea is that there's an element of kavana. So that's true again if he's intending in front of him and he does it behind him, or behind him and he does it in front of him, then it's psula. But lefana v'hiza al atstadin, let's say he's intending on sprinkling in front of him, and then he does it to the sides, al stadin shebefan of the sides that are also in front of him, haza aso kashera. So then the sprinkling is considered to be effective. Rashi says al atstadin shebefanav tzadadin sheyesh mimenu ulahal, and again it means the sides, but it's in front of him. V'lo tzadadin sheyeshnu mimenu ulachar, not the sides that are behind him. V'achinami homden mitzadin shel kohen heimanu ulahalan b'chlal bracha. And so the same idea over here, people who are standing to the sides of the kohanim, as long as it's the sides but in front of the kohanim, that's going to be fine. The chilafan of dami, that's considered the same thing as befanav. Now, if they would be at the sides behind the kohanim, so then that would already be a problem. That would be the same thing as being behind the kohanim. And so again, you see a proof from this Mishnah, Tzadin Shebefanav has also kshera, just like Tzadin Shebefanav is kshera, so too by the Birchas Kohanim. And the Gemara continues, Amar Rava bar Rav Huna. Amar Rava bar Rav Huna. Rava bar Rav Huna says, Kevan sheniftach Sefer Torah, once the Sefer Torah is opened, Aser l'saper afilu b'dvar halacha. This is talking about when they're reading from the Torah. Once the Sefer Torah is opened, it is prohibited to speak, even if the person wants to speak in a matter of halacha, that is prohibited. And the Gemara says, Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, and this is in Nehemiah, it says, the pasuk says, Uchepischo, or as we have the girsa, Uvepischo, Uchepischo, Amdu Chalam. It says when they opened it, so then the entire nation stood. And the Gemara says, Ve'ein amida ela shtika. When it talks about standing over here, it actually means that they were silent. And we see that from another pasuk, from a pasuk in Eov, Shenemar, as it says, V'hochalti ki lo yedaberu, ki amdu lo anu od. So it's talking about amdu, and the amdu over here clearly means lo yedaberu. They didn't speak, lo anu od, they didn't answer. And so you see that standing can refer to not speaking. Rashi says uva pischo, so Rashi understands that ukeshehischil means when he began. Rashi seems to be saying when he began to lane, when he began reading. We're not just simply talking about the unrolling, the opening of the Sefer Torah, but when the laning begins, uva Ezra ksiv. And again, this is written in Sefer Ezra. Amdu means shasko. Again, amdu means they were quiet, and therefore again we see that once the Sefer Torah is opened, or once the reading begins, the people need to be quiet. And the Gemara continues, Rabbi Zera Amar Rav Chisda Mehacha. Rabbi Zera says that Rav Chisda says it's from here, from the following pasuk in Nehemiah, V'yazne kol ha'amel Sefer HaTorah. It says that the ears of all the people were turned towards the Sefer Torah. So the idea is if their attention is turned towards the Sefer Torah, so they are not speaking. And the Gemara continues, V'yamar Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi, and Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi says, Kol kohen shelo natal yodav lo yisas kap. If any kohen who doesn't wash his hands, Rashi says, shelo natal yodav lifnei aloso leduchen. We're talking about he has to wash his hands before he ascends the platform for Birchas Kohanim. Any Kohen who doesn't wash his hands, lo yisas kapav, he shouldn't lift his hands, he shouldn't do the Birchas Kohanim. Shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, Se'u yedechem kodesh uvarchu es Hashem. It says, lift your hands, kodesh, in holiness, and bless. And so therefore we understand from that, what does it mean to lift your hands in Kedusha? It means that the hands should be washed. Shalu Talmida ves Rebbe Elazar ben Shamua. The students asked him. The students of Rebbe Elazar ben Shamua asked him, "Ba'meh ha'arachta yamim? How did you live a long life? What merit did you have to live a long life?" Amar Leni said to them, "Miyamai lo asisi beis hakneses kapendori." In all of my life, I didn't make the beis hakneses. I didn't make the shul. I didn't treat it like a shortcut. V'lo pasati al roshei am kodesh. I didn't step over the heads of the holy nation, because the Talmidim used to sit on the ground, so he wouldn't walk in a way where it looked like he was stepping over them. V'lo nasasi kafi v'lo bracha. And I didn't lift my hands in terms of birchas kohanim. I didn't do that without a bracha. I always made a bracha before doing the birchas kohanim. And the Gemara says, "My mevorich, what is the bracha that one makes before birchas kohanim that the kohen makes?" Amar Rav Zera, Amar Rav Chisda. Rav Zera says that Rav Chisda says, "Asher kiddushanu b'kedushaso shel Aaron v'tzivanu levarich es amo Yisrael bi'ava." The bracha is that we're commanded to bless Klal Yisrael bi'ava with love. And the Gemara continues, Ki akar kare mayomer, when the Kohen lifts his legs, meaning when he begins to walk, to ascend to the duchen, what should he say? The Gemara says he should say as follows, Yiratzim l'fonach Hashem Elokeinu, shetei bracha zu shetzivisanu levarech es amcha Yisrael. He says it should be your will, Hashem, that this bracha that we're commanded to bless, lo yehei ba michshol v'yavan, there should be no stumbling block, there should be no sin. And then the Gemara says when he turns his face from the tzibur, meaning at the end of the bracha, what should he say? Adabre Rav Chisda Rav Ukva v'darash. So Rav Chisda, he instructed Rav Ukva to darshan as follows on this issue. Ribona Shalom, what they should say is as follows: Master of the world, Asinu Masha Gazarta Aleinu, we did what you decreed upon us. Asei Imanu, do with us. And Rashi explains, Kapendorio lakatzer darko derech beis hakneses. Kapendorio means again to treat the shul, to use it as a shortcut. Likanes bepesach zev velotzes kenegdo, enter in one entrance and exit the opposite way. Again, he didn't use the beis hakneses as a shortcut. Velo pasati al rashi am kodesh, and also Rav Elazar ben Shammua, he didn't step over the heads of the holy nation. Shoyu yoshvim hatalmidim bebeis hamedrash al gabe karka, because again the students in the beis medrash, they would sit on the floor. V'hamalech beinehem kishein yoshvim, if somebody would walk between them when they're sitting, benichnas leish in order to get to his place, he'd have to widen his steps. He'd be forced to do that. It looks like he's stepping on their heads. So therefore what he would always do is either he'd get there first, so he wouldn't have to step over everyone, or he would sit on the outside. And also Rav Elazar ben Shammua said that I didn't lift my hands to give the bracha, I didn't lift my hands for the Birchas Kohanim without making a bracha first. Shekohen haya, because he was a Kohen, below bracha the mefarish v'yazal ma'im mevarach. The Gemara will explain what the bracha is. And Rashi continues, v'chiyakar kare ba'avoda, when he begins to walk during Ritzei, l'mesak, to go up to the platform, v'umachzer ponav klapei teva, and he's facing the Aron. Ma'yomar, what does he say? V'chim hader ape mitzibor, and when he turns his face away from the tzibor, kishegomer berchosav, when the Birchas Kohanim is finished, machzer ponav l'tzad teva, again he turns towards the Aron, ad sheyigmor shliach tzibor ha'mevorech Amo Yisrael Ba'Shalom, until the Shliach Tzibor finishes the bracha of Hamavorech Amo Yisrael Ba'Shalom, and we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Lamed Tes Amud Beis.